hostage video. It looks good, dude. You hold up a sign,
Yeah,
whatever you need, bro. We're gonna send it. We're gonna send it.
All right.
All right, so joining us for a very, very special episode. This is our episode 150, and we wanted it to make it as special as possible. So we were able to bring to you Rhode Island's own Strange Famous CEO and founder, also one of the legendary hip-hop heads in the underground scene and independent hip-hop alone, and somebody that everyone at this table looked up to as a youngster and listened to tons of his music, and we're very, very proud to bring you Sage Francis.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for joining us on, like I said, what is our 150th episode, and probably one of our most special episodes yet. Having you here
It makes it that much more special.
Yeah, honestly.
Simple as that. Simple as that.
We're
Right.
we're very appreciative that you took time out of your Friday to join us. So, with that, how you been? How's everything going? We haven't heard a lot of new music from you lately, but you've been super busy. You're a father now. You know,
Right.
got the family life going on. How's everything been holding up during these times?
It's been one fire at a time, dealing with everything that pops up in day-to-day life, and with 3 kids in the mix, and living in an area where we don't really get a lot of help from family because we're a bit far away from everybody. And I'm not in Rhode Island anymore. So, I mean, yeah, you're not hearing a lot of new music from me outside of me featuring on other like Strange Famous artists' albums. So that's really where I've been able to lay down my vocals while I build up my own projects they were started years ago, and I had to put them on the back burner. And I think it's all for the best at this point, just for all the changes that we've all gone through, and my transition. Like, I'm in a transitional period that I don't want to rush, and I think it'll, when I come out swinging again, it's, most likely gonna have a new sound or feel, or I don't know what it is, but I'm not trying to rush it. I'm really trying to understand it. So that's where I'm at right now. I do a lot of work in the house. I work with a lot of artists. Running an independent record label in 2022 is dumb, and it's not lucrative, and it's a lot of work, but it's keeping me in the game. So that's I kind of always thought of it as like a burden I couldn't wait to like get off my shoulders when I had the chance. And now I find myself grateful that it's keeping me in the mix and thinking about stuff that will ultimately, hopefully, benefit my own music when it comes time for me to reemerge.
Yeah.
Adjustments only equal growth. And for your adjustments to change your style is only something we're looking forward to as a fan. And if it comes to you changing, we're ready for it. I mean,
the
anything
growth
you're
of
sending is we're ready to accept it.
The growth of an artist.
I don't know if it would be a change of style. My style, I think, is it's just progressed, and I build upon each layer. It's really about how I address issues and how I, honestly, since I'm not touring, I don't write with any rah crowd happy stuff in mind. It's just going to be probably a lot of storytelling and very absurdist shit.
Yeah.
Similar to the song I did with Buck 65 called Dream School that was on the Alexander Brown Glow Kid album. That's the style of writing I've been doing a lot of lately, just because it's just so out there, and it lets me bounce around imagery that makes sense to me and tie it all together with words that sound cool together. And that brings me back to what I originally was doing in the early 2000s or late 90s. And it, I love that. So yeah, that's fun to just get to do whatever, whenever.
Yeah.
Vocal wild storytelling's always where it's at.
We love
for me,
it. Yeah.
too. I love that shit.
And speaking of going back into the early 2000s, late 90s, the new material you have, are you still putting out the sickly mixtapes and that type of thing, or is that something that you're looking to do in the future?
I had long prepared to retire the Sick of mixtape series, because the way mixtapes are done these days, it just doesn't make sense for me to do what I was doing. But I do want to tie it up with a pretty red ribbon. And I think the last one that I do, because what I like to do on mixtapes is include unreleased material from ages ago, which I'm running out of because I did put a lot of it on my mixtapes already, but I do still have a cachet of that.
Scraping.
And I'm gonna do a box set that includes all the mixtape material all in one place, because a lot of it is hard to find. A lot of it I cannot put on streaming services for various reasons, and I just want to have it encapsulated in one digital box or even a physical box, and then be done with that. Just focus on other things moving forward. But it was such a big part of my trajectory, big part of my career. I kind of feel like I'm obligated to pay it or give it a wonderful send off and something that's formal, and also add to it a lot of material that could constitute as its own mixtape, just as a final one. So the sick, I don't know. I had a name. I already have a name for it, and I forgot. But yeah, well, there's no need for me to promote it since it's not even close to coming out. But it will come out.
I was looking forward to an exclusive and a name
We were
drop,
gonna
an
hit one right
exclusive
now. Yeah, we
name
were
drop
ready for
for
one.
us.
Originally, it was like the sick twist ending, but I didn't like that.
Yeah.
It sounded too ICP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see some. I can see some clowns on the cover of that.
I really do enjoy that series of mixtapes and the style, and like you said, it being a kind of a mix of older and newer music, as well as a lot of features on it too.
Right, because I don't do that on my albums.
Yeah.
There's never any rapper featured on my solo albums, and I always reserve that for all the mixtapes. That era is just, it was very special and great for when it happened, but right now, I almost want to take all my mixtape stuff off the internet. I don't even want it out there, because you have to understand the context of why it was released and when it was released in regard to everything else that was happening. And now when someone, like say a 12-year-old kid hears about Sage Francis and he goes on Spotify, randomly checks out a Sage Francis song, and it's one of the weird tracks from one of the mixtapes that I don't wave its flag. I'm not like, this is really dope. You know, it's just, to me, it was interesting to show people context of where I came from, what I was doing, what I was saying, while everyone else was doing some whole other shit. So in a weird way, I feel like it, as much as it benefited me down the line, it takes away from my, I don't know, it probably turns a lot of people off if they just hear the wrong stuff and they're expecting high quality recordings, you know.
Yeah, especially the generation now is very, very picky with the music, because it has to be so clean and so perfect. They're so used to.
Yeah, you gotta get the tape, man. You gotta get the cassette tape. It has to have the hiss on it.
I'm a fan of the ugly. I'm a fan of the ugly.
Gotta have the white noise going in there.
Exactly. It's very niche.
The dirty. We love that dirty stuff.
35 years old. I love that gross fucking. It sounds like it was recorded at your brother's house. You know what I mean? That's my favorite shit. And you know, so I see what you're talking about, but yeah, I can understand why a lot of people are like, that's not what I'm looking for, but that's what I'm looking for if it makes you feel any better.
Different eras.
It would make me feel better because I feel the same way
about
music and artists that I enjoy. I just want people to learn how to dig and figure out where to get it, because when they're like, if they think everything worth listening to is on streaming services, they're sadly mistaken. And people need to understand that there's other ways to get music, there's other ways to support artists, and you should do that if you're a music lover or a fan of the arts. And an artist as prolific as I've been over the years, if you're really into my kind of material and all you're doing is streaming, you're missing a lot of other stuff. And I would hope people have the gumption to check out, you know, Strange Famous Records online. Or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking go to your record store and look
find your
for
stuff,
me in
exactly.
the free bin or, you know, the used bin section.
That's one of I was just gonna come to this like, you started in an era when, you know, it was hand-to-hand sales. You ran your own merch tables, selling CDs
out of the trunk.
Then the internet kind of took over in that early 2000s, and you were a mainstay. Like, CD when we were downloading, what we were doing, digging, was trying to find new artists, and we're from California, so finding stuff from the East Coast was special to us. Was like, oh man, listen to this. Like, we would come to school like, you've never heard this song before, check this out. And very proud of the music that we'd find in
music.
We would find a lot of your music on the internet in the early Napsters.
Easier to do back then. I did the same thing. So back then, Napster was just like the wild west before any regulations, and it was that's how I discovered a lot of artists, and that's how I interacted with a lot of fans because you could search your own material. Whoever had Sage Francis stuff on their Napster, I could like hit them up and be like, yo,
That's tight.
you could get more here where, you know, where I'm at. And, you know, it just kind of,
it's like a built-in mailing list. That's it.
Yeah, man. Making those connections was very, very sweet. It was very cool. Also AIM, like the AOL chat was big for me back then. And those are just fun times figuring everything out as it was brand new and how to utilize it, as I had spent the previous 21 or 22 years feeling like I was going to be stuck in small town Rhode Island forever and no one would ever hear about my music. I got very excited about that and I hopped on every opportunity, and I miss all that. I miss the forums. The forums were big for us. Those were fun. It's like, Reddit is dope too, but it's such a
toxic place.
Yeah,
toxic.
Reddit's just shit talk central. Yeah.
It's all over the place.
I feel like is that the only forum left really on the internet? It seems like it's just
the only
Reddit.
one that
I feel
people
like
go to,
everybody really goes to just Reddit. There's no other real there used to be just standalone forums to go and but yeah.
Discord I think acts as a forum. I'm not nerdy enough to really understand Discord.
People are talking on Discord though, right?
Yeah, with Discord you already have to have like a built-in community basically.
Yeah.
So
B. Dolan is doing that. So the dude I did Epic Beardman albums with, he runs a Discord.
Solid
he
way
keeps telling me to get involved. I'm just like, I tried, dude. I looked at it. There was symbols I didn't understand, and then I had to,
Can they
change the diaper.
Can they see you on Discord, or is it just all? Is it all vocal?
No. It is. It's like a chat room. It's like a forum. It's like a message board, but they connect it to Twitch sometimes. So there will be video elements involved, or a lot of gamers use it.
Yeah, the only reason I know Discord is through gaming. That's the only thing I know Discord for,
Hey, well, I definitely discovered you through Napster myself and the old school method of finding these underground artists, man.
Yes, sir.
And definitely fucking changed my life. Just staying on the topic of old school stuff and old school releases, you know, you mentioned, I think before, Makeshift Patriot really brought things together for you and Sage Francis. Can you talk a little bit about that? You know, the importance of that track back in the day and what it felt like coming out with that track and that album.
Makeshift Patriot, I mean, I've spoken about it a lot, so I don't want to repeat myself too many times. I will say, I'll give you something new that I guess I haven't talked about a lot. When that came out, I was still finding my voice. I was still finding my audience, and I had not yet released a solo album. It was all mixtape stuff at that point, and Makeshift Patriot was for a mixtape. And it was right around the same exact time I was recording Personal Journals, which was my first studio album. But I needed that song. I couldn't wait for Personal Journals to drop. Makeshift Patriot was just burning too heavy in my heart. So exactly 1 month after 9/11, we released it for free, put it on Napster, and it felt risky. There was a lot of fear involved. We were all very scared at the time. I mean, I'm about 10 years older than you guys, I think. But I was fresh out of college. I'd studied journalism. I saw how things were falling apart on my television in the news. And I was alarmed. And I also felt like I didn't have I felt like I shouldn't say what I was saying because people would get upset. And that pissed me off. So I was in a very free spirit, free time of my life. And I just threw caution to the wind and said, fuck it, this is what's going on. I want to document what we're all feeling in this moment. I want to point out the hypocrisy of America, of the xenophobes of this country, of the people who are trying to take our rights away, like the shock doctrine bullshit. And that was that. I mean, up until that point, I don't think people saw me as a political rapper. I was doing absurdist stuff. I was doing psycho white boy shit. I was doing cartoony stuff. I was doing freestyle, like just really flexing skills.
Dance offs.
That was just so hyper focused and centered. And I didn't want to get pegged as a political rapper. So, I definitely diversified my hip hop portfolio. And that's why I didn't want to include it on Personal Journals, because I didn't want that to like overshadow what was happening in another realm of my approach to music. But I'm thankful that I had the opportunity and resources and outreach thanks to Napster, thanks to the Wild West of the internet, which just does not happen anymore. It's not available in the way it once was. Algorithms have really clamped down on who can do what and who's going to have access to what, which sucks. But
what you see,
go ahead. Sorry.
Corporate America took over.
That's the worst. I mean, because I don't want to see what it's telling me I want to see. I want you to switch it up and give me something that I've never seen before because I feel like it's intriguing. But that's just how it works.
And like Sage was saying, you got to go dig. You got to go find stuff when you hear something you like.
I know not everyone has the time to like
dig. Yeah.
Go to the dark web.
Yeah, to find some dope hip hop you never heard before. Go to the dark web for that.
That's crazy on the dark web. You could Google me, but you're just gonna get the safe stuff there.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
When did you first discover hip hop, or was it that you discovered punk rock first, or rock and roll, or whatever you want to call it?
What brought you in?
I didn't like any music except for hip hop, and I discovered it when I was 8 years old.
Nice.
And Fat Boys were big at the time, so it was almost like the hip hop that hit the mainstream, which was Run DMC and the Fat Boys and Beastie Boys. Obviously, like Sugar Hill Gang was before that, and that we all were familiar. It was cartoonish. It was childish in a lot of ways. Even the tough guy stuff, it just was like it appealed to an 8-year-old boy, 10, 11, 12-year-old boy. Like the tough guy talk, the sex talk, braggadocious stuff. It was just built for my mentality at the time, and I was drawn to it. But the beat and the rhymes, it just drew me in. And I hated every other style of music. I didn't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear punk rock. I don't want to hear rock and roll or heavy metal. My whole town was listening to that, and I felt like I was ostracized because I was the rap kid who was trying to build like a rap posse. I wanted all my friends to like build this like little rap squad with me, and it was tough going where I was at. So I spent a lot of time on my own studying hip hop, studying the rappers I loved, trying to rap like them, which I did, and I would record myself. And I, bit by bit as a dumb kid, just figuring it all out and building a foundation that I could build upon it and find my own voice at some point. But that's exactly how it happened. And it, everyone was calling it a fad at the time. And this was right around when, breakdancing really did go mainstream. So it was in like every YMCA. And it was like, there was TV infomercials with Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air pushing, like, I was like, I want that so bad. I want that checkered fucking thing you put on the floor to do backspins on. I never got that, but that was like one summer, it was like one summer of 86 or 85. And then like every suburban kid had gone through it and like, oh yeah, I did breakdance and that's over with. That's, that's a fad, like on to the next thing. I was like, I just could never give up on it. And I just dedicated myself to it from there on up into adulthood. And now I don't listen to any music almost ever, but I maintain that love for the original spirit and what drew me to hip hop. And I hope to contribute to what, this form that gave me so much to my, upbringing in life and happiness and escape. It was escapism.
Yeah,
totally.
Do you find it harder now to draw inspiration when you're writing? And do you find it harder or more difficult to kind of express where you're at, or especially now that you're a family man? I know like when you're younger you have a different mindset and you're in a different place in life, and as you grow older and now you have kids and stuff, are you conscious of that as you're writing? Or
yeah you can't escape that. And again, when I was in my early 20s, I hardly had any family at all. I never had to really think about anyone else when I was writing. And I could be as selfish as I wanted to be, and I could be as revelatory as I wanted to be. And now I do have to mask a lot of things. I don't find that it's tough to be inspired, and I don't find it's tough to write. I enjoy the challenge of addressing things in a different way, and being more mature about it, and hopefully not having it sound old and mature. Like, I want it to be subtle. I don't want people to feel like I'm, I really don't want to do dad rap. And no disrespect, like Slug's the homeboy, love you to death. He does, he embraces the term. I don't think he does dad rap either.
Right.
Although he does lecture like a motherfucker.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We love you, Slug. Shout out to
I don't want to be
Slug.
categorized as that. I am a dad. I live my dad life, but holy shit, music is my escape from that life because it's every day, all day. I'm dad.
Yeah.
So when I do finally find the free time to get to do my music and focus on the career bits, not trying to do dad, trying to like be a whole other person and continue this Sage Francis art project that was like organized in the late 90s and miraculously came to fruition, and I was able to just continue to, I don't know, to just throw on different shirts and put on different faces.
You've
and
kept
still
it strange, man.
It's crazy how having a child or like just having children will just change your whole mentality. Like your deep thought of writing is no longer just you. Now you're based on somebody else. But even though that mentality's always been there, now your mentality's wrapped around other people in your life that you're focused on, when they were never a focus to begin with because they weren't there in the first place. You know what I mean? And now that they're here, and now you have to adjust to it, which it shouldn't really make you change your writings, but it always does. It matures you, changes you. The way I look at things now is just so different, just from having kids. It's just wild. It's crazy.
It's beautiful. That's life.
Beautiful,
that's a beautiful part of life.
It makes you that, like you said, how was Grandpa a nice guy? It's because that guy sees all this shit, and he's got to tone back who he is, tone back who he is, tone back who he is.
So, and as you've gotten older, and this is something that I've heard you say about hip-hop in general. I remember thinking when we were kind of finding underground hip-hop and all that this, like, labeling, this is hip-hop, this is Sage Francis, that's hip-hop music, and everything else, the shit you hear on the radio, that's not hip-hop, and, have that kind of mind state. And I heard you once say that, like, who are you to kind of put a label on hip-hop? Hip-hop is... The beautiful thing about hip-hop is it's been able to be so versatile and integrate into so many different cultures and be so different that everything could be hip-hop. It's like, and
everything is hip-hop. It doesn't hardly has a definition, honestly. It's but I think in that era where there was a certain type of crowd who would be like, and I was part of it too, I'm not gonna front, like I hated the hip-hop that was on the radio for quite some time, all except for Biggie, and maybe there was a couple exceptions, but I'm like, that's not real hip-hop. And then we got in this real hip-hop mentality. Is like, there are rules, there are structures, there's a structure,
elements.
There's levels. There's levels to this.
Like, how many elements are there? Tell me now. And
right,
that was a big part of our mentality in the circles I ran with. And then I could see how absurd it looked after a while and how it hurt us overall, because it was like, we're fronting on like legitimate artists who are doing good music, but we're trying to dismiss it because of they're not following our own rules. And we only got better and more interesting the more we abandoned a lot of the shackles that we applied to ourselves over our art. Underground hip-hop was boring as hell, I'll tell you that, for a long time. And we thought, because we never wanted it to change. Like, and if you deviated from a certain style or sound, you were suspect. And by the time I came out with Personal Journals, trust me, I was shitted on by a lot of traditionalists, fundamentalists, because I just branched off in so many different ways, and I started talking the way rappers aren't supposed to talk, and exploring subject matter that is not comfortable to a macho crowd, and it happened all at the right time because the audience, the people were ready for that change. They didn't know it, and it helped other people open up their own. I mean, I was part of like a crew of people who were all doing very interesting stuff. It's like, I'm not saying Personal Journals was that like lone trailblazing album, but it was a significant and loud part of that era that opened up the doors to allow a lot of rappers do what they're doing now. And they probably don't even realize emotional and being vulnerable became popularized back then.
Yeah, it was a change of direction in the scene, definitely.
Personal Journals,
different than anything I was listening to. At that time, I was listening to fucking like No More Greener Grasses and like Fuck the Dumb and like God Loves
West
Ugly,
Early
just early Hyro. Like I said, like just anything like that. And then for that to come out was a total left turn, you know. And it was great because I remember going to see you in like 05, 06, and it was amazing. And then I seen you again in 2019 at the Holy Dive Bar in Sacramento, and you're just as amazing. DJ No Spinzo, you turn around, you're fucking with the computer yourself. You're a fucking beast, man. The energy is unmatched from then till now, and that's like a fucking 15 to 17 year gap, man. There it is.
This is my DJ.
Shout out DJ No Spinzo.
This is what I use.
That's I know. You're a fucking king, bro. I give it up. And you were fucking. I was front row. My lady never seen anything like this, and I go, this man is a legend. She thought you were a cult leader. By the way, we all had our one fingers up, and everyone was just bumping.
Sacramento. I think that was a sold out show.
It was. It was fucking insane. Elbow to elbow. It was bad.
That was a very,
bad
very
as
good
fuck.
show.
Super dope.
I love how you can still bring it, man. You've always brought it, and you still bring it.
And the respect, and we were talking about this before you came on the show, is the respect level that we had for you at the time. I mean, we were, I think, 16 or 17 at a show in San Francisco. I believe it was at the Fillmore, and we were smoking weed at the time when we lit up a blunt, and you stopped, and in the middle of the show you said, hey, put that out, I have a long tour. And we were like, I looked, and that was the first time I was like, oh fuck, that's right. And I like put it out right away, man. And I was like, that was a respect. At that time in my life, I probably
appreciate that. A year before that, I almost lost my voice forever.
See,
and we playing,
I think you mentioned that, and I thought to myself, this man stopped the show just for that. Like, this is a serious,
it's important.
Deep conviction.
Probably wouldn't have done that for anyone else at the time, and you know, at that point in life, I was like, "Fuck everybody." But when you told me,
I appreciate that. That was 2005, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there was another person in our touring party. Her name's Alexandra from Soliloquist of Sound.
Yeah,
she was more hardcore about that than I was, and I was mostly following her lead and making sure there was never smoke in the venues, because she's a singer with an incredibly angelic voice,
like a motherfucker. And she can sing.
You cannot mess with smoke whatsoever. And then when we were done those shows for a long period of time, that was a very long tour. We did two in 2005, but we would not talk. We would use sign language, or like we would write stuff to each other. So outside of the stage, we never talked.
Wow.
Even going into like gas stations and getting food places, we did not talk. We reserved our voices. That's how important it was to us. And now you can tell my voice is not so stellar, but that was the biggest tour of my life. 2005 was one of the most heavy, if not the most heavy touring periods of my life, which followed every year before that was the most toured year of my life. So it was like, I got to figure something out, because I don't want to ruin this for myself and for others by, overexerting, and which I did. But I appreciate your story and your recollection of that, and for not being pissed off, because I don't like anyone telling me to do anything either. Fuck that.
No, I totally understood. But like I said, I come in from you, someone that we looked up to, and then the fact that you stopped this entire show just to tell us that, it was like, it's like when you're at a comedy show and you're talking, someone's talking, and the comedian is like, hey, I'm doing a fucking show here, can you guys take that outside or something? It's like, I don't want you to stop your whole performance and stop this show just because I wanted to smoke weed. I could wait till after the show to smoke weed. I'm here to watch you. That's what we're doing. So
exactly.
Yeah, we appreciate it, and your performance, and like Matt was saying, the fact that you still threw it down from 2005 all the way to 2019 is a beautiful thing.
Crazy.
Do not disrespect the sage.
Nope.
Hey, man.
Don't poke the beard.
Don't poke the bear, because he'll get you. You mentioned Slug. Just talking a little bit about artists like Slug, Aesop Rock, Illogic, Eyedea, Blueprint, that Orphanage crew. We've seen an old school picture, I believe, that you took.
In Illogic, we got a chance to talk to Illogic, and we were talking about the picture, and he said the funny thing about that picture is Sage Francis took that picture, and it was in Eyedea's basement, I believe. It was when they were writing the song "Hold Mine."
I was staying with Eyedea at the time. I believe I took the picture, but his mother contends that she took the picture. It was Kathy. Like, shout out to Kathy. It's possible she did. I'm pretty sure I did, because I have it with my collection of photos from that whole era. I've like tons of. It was done with a disposable camera. because camera phones were not a thing yet.
No.
Yeah, that was, I remember it very well. The whole like the sessions, the writing sessions, them not including me in them telling me to go away, stop bothering them. You're annoying, Sage Francis, stop it. You know, go play with the dog upstairs, like play checkers with Kathy. We don't care. You're from Rhode Island, you're a piece of shit, and we're lucky you even let you like take a picture of us.
Go hang out with DJ
man, the Northwest crew was being raw that day.
They were cold. They were cold.
When did you first cross paths with the likes of Slug, Aesop Rock, Eyedea, people like that?
Slug in 1999. Well, I can tell you when I first met him. So yeah, 1999 in Milwaukee, I opened up for him, and he knew of me because of his connection with Anticon. Anticon being the Bay Area label. Yep. That it was there was a lot of controversy around Anticon, and I think Atmosphere was trying, and Slug was trying to separate himself from that and really didn't want to be included in that anymore. So he looked at me as kind of poison, like, you know, this white kid who's weird, definitely like don't want to like get involved with more Anticon stuff.
Must be related to Soul.
He was standoffish to me. I remember we were at the promoter's apartment. Shout out to Jim Shaft, and yeah, he was just very standoffish, very blunt, and then we did a radio show with Aaron Wade, and we freestyled, and it was, I mean, I put that on the Still Sick mixtape, our session there. They're not good. Like, I just listened to it the other day, and I was like, yo, I wish I didn't put this on this mixtape. It's not, like, neither of us come off, but
did it feel like there was a
time for me because it connected me with Slug. Because once we did our show together, when we were done the show and we went outside, it was obviously dark. He came up to me, he was like, yo, he was like, you're a real one, man. He's like he just gave me props. He's like, that was the realest shit. And like, he basically was admitting that he thought I was like a fraud when he first met me. He didn't really want to do, and from there on, he's just started taking me on tour.
Wow. So
like I hopped on Atmosphere tours and early on, and with Eyedea and Abilities. So I guess that's right when I met Eyedea as well, when Slug just kind of took me on these adventures, and so much happened during that time.
Yeah.
That was like right before the God Loves Ugly tour, and then we did that together, and with Eyedea and Abilities, and Mr. Dibs, and Crescent Moon. I mean, shout out to all those cats. It was like, yeah. So yeah, I still think I was a weirdo to a lot of people. They weren't embracing me. So I got to give Slug the props and the recognition for being that one dude who had clout, who was putting me on, sure. Even though everyone he was down with was like, nah, fuck that shit. That ain't real. You know, yeah, he's a weirdo or whatever. Like but Eyedea was all love. Like that cat, me and him hit it off more than anybody. His passing was devastating in 2010. Everything when that happened is like, shit.
Still kills me to this day.
And that was an end of an era, really.
Yeah. I've heard you say that you really connected with Eyedea on that tour because you guys were the only sober ones on the tour at the time, and you guys obviously loved freestyling and fucking around. And what was that connection? Because I'm a big Eyedea fan. I've loved his music ever since the early 2000s, and followed his career as I followed yours as well. And you guys are very similar, not in styles, but I think in mindset, like the philosophy and very, very intelligent with your words and vocabulary and that. What was that connection like, meeting Eyedea, meeting Mikey, and then kind of watching him? Because you met him at a young age. He was, what, 19?
Yeah. I mean, I felt like we were both young. He was younger than me, but I felt like we were the two young goofballs. He was goofy. He was just a goofy cat. And I was goofy as well, and that's why we hit it off, because we're not really we want to impress people, we want people to notice us, but we also don't care if they look at us like we're stupid, so we goofed off a lot. And He told wonderful stories. He was a great storyteller. He was a funny cat. So his inflections, which I hear, like when I listen to Blueprint talk, there's a lot of inflections and styles that remind me of Mikey. Like one of them got it from each other. Like something happened, because I always think of Mikey when I hear certain things that he says. I just, I don't know. I love that dude. It's really, really sad that he's not around, but we've lost so many incredible people, and fuck. That's why it's like getting older is not the shit.
It's the curse of the gift, right? It's the gift that you're able to live and see this life, but the curse is that you're watching your loved ones die. You know, that it's tough.
I mean, I don't even want to. Let's get off that topic, because I really don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
it's
we
gonna
definitely will.
dampen this mood, and there's no
jumping
need for
back
that.
jumping back to freestyling, man. Did you start writing first, or were you dabbling around with freestyling and spoken word and things like that, or what was the transition to freestyling like? And you played a big part of that for a while.
Yeah, it was difficult because I was a writer, and I am a writer by nature, but and for many years, just being very exact about what I say, and very meticulous, and it has to be exactly correct. So that, like, when you freestyle, that mentality has to go out the window. Totally. You have to let go of that, and there's a lot of people who never learn how to do that, and thankfully I did learn how to do that, but it took a long time. And I would say in the late 90s I did start to make sense of it. And there are moments where I feel like I totally, well, sometimes I shit the bed, and so, hey, that's what happens sometimes. You take the risk, you fuck up, oh well. At least you put yourself out there. But there were other times where I went off, and in ways that I impressed myself. And to learn how to do that when writing is important. So once I was able to break free from how strict I was in my writing style, and tap into that freestyle ability and the free flow of thoughts and what can happen in a style and in a phrasing, I feel like that really benefited my music overall. So I was never. A lot of people claim they can freestyle and they can't, and a lot of people say that, think they're the best freestyler and want to make people think that they're great at freestyling. It's so silly. It's like, Eyedea was an awesome freestyle. It's not to bring it back to him, but it was. The thing is, with him, he had this insane backlog of words and phrases that always fit together, and were so. It's like you figure out people's tricks in their freestyles if you hear them long enough. And I hear that with every single artist, almost every single artist that I've heard freestyling. And sometimes there's artists who freestyle and they do stuff that makes me wonder. I'm like, dog, did you really
freestyle?
Memorize that whole thing and pass it off as a freestyle? Because that's insane. And almost everything you'll hear on the Sway Show, anything that ever gets rapped, where they call it a freestyle. Like, it's, Black Thought, he's amazing. That dude's not freestyling. That does, if you were able to freestyle like that, you could run the world. You would own,
Thank you.
You're not topping on someone's fucking radio show and freestyling like that. But it's a matter that people don't care about as much anymore. Back then, again, there were purists who were like, if you're not going off the top,
it's not a freestyle.
You get a hip hop demerit. You're like free.
That was a WWF era. You're not off the top, brother.
Listen here, brother.
But it's true, like you said, like we were talking about earlier, that
I feel the same
snobby
way, though.
mindset that we had, and I still kind of have that. Like,
I have
when
it.
I see, like you said, someone post something and it's freestyle, I think
Memorized.
to myself, I'm like,
memorized.
Everyone has a different mindset of what a free verse or something that they didn't write down, they have in their head that they never put on track or anything.
Completely
But
off
a
topic.
free,
Yeah, I get it, and people have benefited from that ambiguity in the word. I did as well. Like, there's times where I did verses on radio shows, and I just put it on mixtape, call it a freestyle, because I knew there was that ambiguity there. But I will always point out the difference. And we used to call those New York freestyles.
yes,
Where your boy would back you. Your boy knew your word as he was coming for it.
Yeah, every New York artist was doing a New York freestyle.
Yeah.
None of them were really freestyling.
The hype
So
man's got
my
the
crew
words
of
ready.
kids would always point that out. So I would say that early on, and then it just stopped being as important as it was.
Yeah, I don't think people
Nobody
are looking for
cares
that
anymore,
anymore.
yeah.
I don't think anyone really cares about that anymore.
People are looking for that slick, memorized rhyme trick. So everyone likes that. So.
Bars, everyone wants bars.
It's used in two different ways. There's the parlor tricks at shows where you tell people to hold something up in the air, and they always have their routine. The other way freestyle would like continue to succeed and do well for the artist is in battles. So that's really where the art of freestyling would shine, when you were able to act on the spot and respond to what the other person said. And even like most of that's gone now too, because MC battles are not doing freestyles anymore. No. They know who they're gonna go against.
It's like MMA now.
Homework. They're doing homework.
I've always said that. Compare it to MMA. MMA used to be a tournament, and you didn't know who you were fighting, and you fought your way to the top. And then now it's who you're gonna fight. You set it up. You've
watched his fights, and you train to fight for his style.
That's battling is kind of like
and those make for better productions, right?
Yes.
Of course, that's what happens with a lot of the freestyle battles are
horrible.
You can't watch them more than once, and a lot of them can be embarrassing. So I understand why the change had to be made, because people were monetizing these events and trying to get the best out of the event. And it's a big crapshoot when you're expecting people to freestyle and always be on point.
Yeah.
And the art of just having jazz sessions, like freestyle jazz sessions, where everyone's just bouncing off one another, and it's just, that's gone now too. So the thing that we did with the Orphanage freestyle, I loved that event, because all of us, and not all of us really knew each other. I didn't really know Aesop or Logic. Like I don't get down with them like that, or Blueprint, even though I battled them in Scribble Jam, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
But we all had our own specific skill set. So when you put us all in a room together and you throw on random beats, and you have goofiness happening at the same time, so you can let down your guard and feel like, all right, we can have fun. Like we're not battling. We don't have to like make fun of each other. We don't have to feel like being defensive or offensive. Let's just let thoughts flow. Let's like rhyme styles build off of each other. Beautiful. I want to see more of that. I want to see who can do that in 2022.
Yeah.
I want to see a crew of people just sit down in a fucking room
and interact that way.
Go off to one another and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Entertain each other. That's what
we do.
We mess around over here, and we'll turn on a beat every once in a while, and we'll freestyle as a group. And what I'm trying to do is just entertain the person in front of me, get him to pop on something, like, ooh, that was tight, or laugh at something that I say, or something. You know what I mean? That's what I think.
It's almost always just reserved to car rides now.
Yes.
Or van rides.
Yeah. I used to love that at the end of a show. When we'd go to these hip hop shows, at the end of a show, when they bring everybody back on stage and then everyone starts freestyling or spitting raps.
Yeah,
that was always fun.
Yeah, but those are easy too. Those are just too easy. I loved having the ciphers outside of shows, and like there was an era where the artists who were headlining the show would also show up in the parking lot and just rhyme.
Fuck yeah!
Awesome.
I did that a lot too. At a certain point, I just had to stop doing that. You do have to draw a line at a certain point, and then people get upset, and you're like, "Oh, you're too good for us now." It's like, nah, dude, but I do need to get some fucking sleep.
Yeah, I got a show tomorrow.
Yeah, but yeah, those are so good. I mean, I remember Mr. Liff from Boston.
Yep.
I just loved his early stuff. I still love his stuff, but his early stuff, I was like, I would get to see him perform in Boston, and then we'd be rapping with him in the crowd or outside. It's like that. Those memories really stick with me because it did feel like a community. It did feel like we were part of a family of some sort, a tribe. There was the tribe of underground rap, which ate itself up eventually, but had wonderful moments.
Yeah, and it meant something. It meant something to be underground at that time, where now it's it's kind of a flooded scene now with the internet. And easier to make music, which is another blessing and curse. You can make music on your computer or your phone and make it sound just as good as somebody that has $100,000 studio.
Because it's totally the blessing is that anyone can do it. So, there's no gatekeepers that's saying no, you can't do this. I'll only allow this person. But before that was available, the people who were putting out vinyl, it showed great dedication to their craft. And it showed that they believed in themselves. Most people never would do that. You know, like, I feel like if you're going to put yourself out there as an artist, show some initiative and show some investment in yourself and make things as proper as possible. Because you're right, everyone can just record on their computer and throw it on SoundCloud or on YouTube and act, or even on any streaming service, and act like, hey, I'm part of the crowd too. Like, I'm just as, you know, I'm just as relevant as anyone else. It's like, I don't know, dog. Did you fucking get this mastered? Did you?
Right. Do you have an engineer or? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I feel bad saying that because I am the most low key and low grade motherfucker out there. I feel so fancy with this new camera. Like, I don't know why it took me so long. I was like, oh my God, I bought it on, you know, it was on sale. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself.
There you go.
It looks good. It looks
good.
good.
You're looking good on there.
It looks good.
You were the first hip hop artist signed to a punk rock label, Epitaph. That was in what, 04, 05, I want to say. You released A Healthy Distrust first, and another album or two after that. What was that experience like, being the first hip hop act attached to a punk rock label?
It was great because I liked just doing things differently, and around that time, a little bit before, it was in 2004 that I signed with them. 2005 when A Healthy Distrust came out, but all those early 2000s hip hop labels or other types of labels were looking for the next Eminem, because Eminem was just popping off so hard commercially, and they were out there hard. Like, Atlantic Records was sniffing around everywhere. They were signing white rappers left and right, and then shelving their albums. I got approached by a couple different labels, and they gave me bad vibes. They made me feel like that, you know, they were going to try to craft me into what they thought would be sellable. And Epitaph was the first bigger label to approach me and just be like, yo, we get what you're doing. You have your fan base. We'll never tell you what to do because you already know what you're doing and no one's doing it like you. So do you, and let's do this. Let's put this fucking out. Let's make this bigger than it is.
That's
so,
awesome.
you know, I helped make them a lot of money. They helped me make a lot of money at the same time. That's why I signed to them. And like, the novelty of being the first rapper signed to Epitaph is cool too. I mean, at the time I was like, yeah, that's fucking great. I just wish I didn't do a 3-album record deal, because I didn't understand how long that would take in my career and how much money that would end up costing me down the line. But the early stages of that in 2004 and 2005, beautiful period for me, because that also when the biggest tours were happening, and I got to play legendary venues such as the Fillmore and, you know, stuff like that. It was cool. But they also saw a similarity between what we were doing in indie hip hop and what they were doing with the indie punk scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Earlier on, they saw how the fan base was growing, how we were touring heavy in small towns, which was not a thing that hip hoppers really did. Like, the bigger tours, it was always big tours. It was always arena tours. And here we are driving to bumblefuck nowhere, playing whatever, and building upon that every time we went back out on the road. And he saw that. The president was Andy Kaufman. Andy so he saw, when I played California, he would come to the shows and he would just watch me drag my suitcase in, open the suitcase, and then there's all my CDs and shirts, and I just start selling right away to the fans. He was
Awesome.
like, I haven't seen this in so long. So I think like it hit the nostalgic buttons for him, and he championed me big time, helped me get a lot of, he just helped boost my signal in a lot of ways. So I appreciate that. But that's what it was like. That was, you know, they were hands off. They were big fans of mine. That was a big deal to me. Like, they like really truly loved my music, and they let me do whatever I wanted.
Nice.
And that's always the best, when you get your free chance to be
Free,
do whatever you think is right. No one telling you no is always perfect.
Do you
That
no notes.
and a curse though. That was a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wanted that, but maybe I needed somebody to tell me certain
little
things.
something.
But
Sometimes it's always good to have a little bit of a leash on the project. But now learning from those experiences, do you pull from the good and the bad of those experiences to help with how you run your label? It's totally different. Your label is, but it's still you're still
absolutely.
CEO.
I know both sides of the coin, so I know it. I've worked with a lot of labels. I thought it was important at first for me to spread myself out, make sure I wasn't contained by one label or in one territory. So I learned the good and bad things about each label and what it's like to operate with the label, and how I felt vulnerable by a label, and I didn't want to do that to our artists. So I give a lot more like leeway to our artists, and I hope that it's tough to figure out how to run a label now, because it is so different from when I first started out. And I feel sorry for new up and coming artists, because I'm like, we can't break you even on social media. Even though social media is our main access to the crowd, it's the algorithms have clamped down so hard that you have to pay in order to access your audience, and still that's not going to be even close to what it was like back when it was organic. Like even in the MySpace days, and even early Facebook days, it's totally different now. So all the rules are different. What do you got to fucking do? And we're figuring that out as we go. I just hope we have earned a following who is happy to share our material with their friends and other people who like the kind of music that they like, because that's the best way our music is going to get out there outside of touring. And we're not really touring anymore. I'm not. I may at some point, but and a couple of our newer artists are like Blacklick and Jesse the Tree and Early Adopted. They're the main people who do shows around this or not this area, but I'm going to try to get them to as many places as possible, but I can't do that if they don't have proof of a following in all these different cities. It's just so different. So it's sorry to those artists, but we're going to figure it out somehow, some way.
It's scary to think, just like you're saying, it's like there's nowhere that anyone's just dipping from randomly like it was with Kazaa or Napster or LimeWire. You don't just dip randomly and find random artists like you can. There's just nowhere like that anymore. And if like you can't just go on Spotify and hit randomly play and run into a Sage Francis. They just don't allow that. What they're showing you is what they think you want to hear. And that's not what I want to hear, you know.
A lot of the times, yeah.
And that's what's kind of crazy to think. Like, it's so hard to find new music myself personally. So it's just, I could imagine for somebody who doesn't know what they're looking for at all, how hard it must be for them to find new music,
new people.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Hard to get new fans.
I totally agree, and it was different. Those like finding new artists was easier only a few years ago. It got worse and worse and worse. Like if I play like a Sage Francis channel on a streaming site,
there's other people.
I guarantee you, like one song into it, I'm like, fuck this shit. I turn it off. Like, I don't like that shit. And this is me. Like, it's supposed to be stuff that is like me. It's not like me, motherfucker. Like, that is not Sage Francis style material. Like, not anything like it.
Amen.
Because those artists are being like, they're the bigger companies just get their artists on all the playlists and pushed to the top of algorithms or through the algorithm. So it's all manufactured. It's not organic whatsoever, and music and the listenership will suffer because of it.
Everything goes around. Hopefully, it evolves at some point, and it comes back around to. I mean, I don't see how it's going to, but at some point, hopefully, it comes back around to where we're looking for music. Maybe record shops start popping back up in the area. I don't know. Something's going to happen.
Something should happen.
Cassette tapes
Vinyl's
are cool
coming
again.
back.
Vinyl's been back.
Retro's coming. Everything's coming back.
No, all the physical stuff is novelty at this point. Like tapes were cool. Like they did get cool again, and like we love making cassette tapes because that's my origin. I always loved making cassette tapes. When's the last time I listened to a fucking cassette tape?
It's just to have. It's just to say you have.
It's just to have. It's good to have. I like it. That's novelty. Getting them at shows. But man, they are increasing the shipping prices through the postal service. Everything is like gas. Like if you're touring, good luck with your gas prices.
Right.
Everything is making things much more difficult at every turn. And if Congress doesn't figure this out, I'm gonna fucking run for Senate.
Let's
Hey,
go.
yeah, let's do it.
Hey, you got
Sage
4
for
votes
Senate.
right here. I'll tell you that
Sage for
much.
Senate.
Believe it.
Hey man, well I'm truly grateful for Strange Famous Records, and it's really introduced me to new artists like B Dolan and Mopes, formerly known as Prolific, and Blacklick, Wheelchair Sports Camp, people like that, man. So I'm truly blessed that there's a record label out there like you guys and Fake Four still putting it down, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Shout out to Fig Four,
Shout out to
obviously.
Fig 4,
yes.
bro.
Chesky, we love Chesky. We were lucky enough to have him on, and he spoke greatly of you, obviously.
Very highly.
I could see a lot of you guys are very similar in your work ethics too. Very, very. I mean, he's very involved in a lot of different projects. Has always got some kind of hand in fire, and it seems like you've been like that for the last 20 years.
Yeah, we are. I mean, shit, we're both based in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Actually, he's in LA now, I think, but now I'm in Connecticut. But we're different in so many ways. He makes friends with everybody, so he knows everybody. Mm-hmm. He's on everybody's good side. He's and I keep a tight circle, which he is a part of, and it's just funny to see. Like the things he benefits from, but also gets hurt from by being just so open and free
out there
and great to everybody. I'm just like, I'm too I can't have you around me. I can't have you on my song. I can't have you in my crew.
Yeah.
You're suspect. And like, you got to be careful. You got to be
got the walls up a little bit.
He makes it work, dog. Like Chesky is a special cat. The last shows that I did were with Chesky. And we toured, and I was like, man, we should have started doing this a long time ago, because I'm getting a bit long in the tooth to be doing hardcore tours. But it was such a good energy with him, and I think it was a great dynamic between him and I on stage. The crowds, like, it obviously made sense that, why didn't we do this before? That's a bit of a regret of mine, but yeah, shout out to him.
Hopefully when you're ready to get back out, you guys can team up, and we would love to see that.
I'd love to.
We would be out there in a heartbeat, definitely.
I really like the combo, man. So I'm looking forward to hopefully some more stuff in the near future. Will Sage Francis be rapping at 50 years old?
I hope so.
Yeah. I might be in a wheelchair.
A walker
not like
coming
a
out?
full-on wheelchair, but
a rascal.
like this one.
Oh, there you go.
Like roll around on stage.
There you go.
And like not exert too much energy and like speak in a voice.
No more front flips landing on your back.
Yeah, I was thinking, because I go to physical therapy now, and I got all fucked up body parts, and I was thinking about that, exactly what you're talking about, because those are the 2005 tour.
Yes.
I was doing suicides. I was like
backyard
flipping
wrestling.
over onto my back and like doing stupid shit on my body. I'm like, I'm always gonna feel good. Nothing's ever gonna go wrong.
Invincible.
That's the Sage
I was
Francis.
invincible. I was totally invincible.
Yeah.
But I'm there's a reckoning. That's all.
Well,
Yeah.
we really do appreciate you spending this much time with us and coming out
we do.
and spending a Friday. Being a father myself, I know how precious this time is with the family, so we appreciate you spending it with us, and we look forward to all the projects that you have coming out in the future, and like we said, hopefully getting back on the road and we can come check you out. And then
I got a lot of music in the works.
Yes.
I've got a
Can't wait.
podcast in the works. I've got videos in the works. So it's all going to happen. I just hope people stay tuned and don't forget about us, because you may never see an update on any social media. There's publicists out there who will touch our shit with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Just always in the back of your mind, I hope my voice is there echoing, Strange Famous!
Yeah.
Yes.
Where can people keep up with that? We might not learn a bunch from the social medias, but where can people keep up with Sage Francis and Strange Famous?
There's strangefamous.com, or just search us on on social media sites. We're all there. A lot of us are bad at social media. So, don't judge us. We're just trying to play the game,
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard.
Don't get mad at us because we tweet like 12-year-old girls, but we're there. We're there, and we'll announce as much. Like, we'll always make it known what we're doing. So, strangefamous.com has always been the hub. So check it out and support when you can. We really appreciate it.
Most definitely.
We really appreciate you, all the work that you put in over these years, and keeping it hip hop, whatever the hell that is. But thank you for keeping it hip hop for us, for the fans, and we, like I said, hope to hear more from you, and hopefully we can do this again soon, sometime.
Big shout outs to you. We wish you the best. Big shout outs.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, fellas.
Yeah, you too. Much love, and hopefully everything continues the success continues to come your way.
Me too.
All right, Sage.
Keep it straight.